Bikaner in Rajasthan nearly 9 decades ago has now found a place in one of the world's busiest tourist districts. Haldiram's, founded in 1937 by Ganga Bhishan Agarwal in Rajasthan, has now opened its first ever restaurant in the United Kingdom, choosing London's iconic Leicester Square for its flagship outlet. The opening has generated massive buzz, with videos of long queues stretching outside the restaurant going viral on social media, highlighting the growing global appetite for Indian cuisine. For years, people went gaga over McDonald's, but today, by the crowds seen outside the store, it is Haldiram that is at the center of attention, and people can't wait to get inside the restaurant to get a taste of all that it has to offer. The 110-seat restaurant marks a significant shift for the brand. For years, Haldiram's built its international presence through packaged snacks and sweets that were sold in supermarkets across the globe. Now it is making a transition from a retail brand to a full-fledged global restaurant chain, bringing iconic Indian street food and regional favorites directly to international diners. The excitement, however, has also sparked conversations around pricing. A plate of pani puri that costs around 75 rupees in India is priced at 6.50 pounds, which is nearly 830 rupees in London. Pav bhaji is listed at 9.90 pounds, which is roughly 1,270 rupees. Garlic naan costs 5 pounds, which is around 640 rupees. And industry experts say that the higher prices reflect London's commercial rents, labour costs, import expenses and premium restaurant positioning. Unlike its sprawling menus in India, the London outlet offers a carefully curated selection of dishes designed for the British market. Haldiram's global debut has also reflected a broader trend of Indian brands expanding beyond the domestic borders. From Bikaner Wala and Sarvana Bhavan to Amul, Indian food brands are steadily building an international footprint driven by the growing popularity of Indian cuisine and a large global diaspora. For Haldiram's, the long queues outside its first UK restaurant suggest demand is already there. The next challenge will be balancing authenticity, affordability and scale as it takes one of India's most iconic food brands to a global audience. Let's start off our conversation. Adit Kothari on the telecast with me. Adit, it is heartening to see that Haldiram, which is a homegrown brand, it has been in existence for decades together, more than a century old, and it is finally garnering the global appreciation and attention that it deserves.
Hope you had a really nice and sunny time in Europe. So in short, I think when you look at brands like Haldiram, the Indian diaspora basically provides a foundation, that of cultural credibility. And then you've got the other attributes of the Western sort of demand, which sort of, infuse into that, creating that market demand. We've got to bear in mind that the Indian diaspora is the largest diaspora in the world, almost about 35 to 40 million globally. Collectively, their incomes are close to about $800 billion, circa about 850 odd billion. So, there is naturally going to be a demand for that Indian products, and that we've seen from time and time. I mean, if you look at the Haldiram story, the Haldirams, they started to export their particular products from 93 onwards, but they set up their factories in the UK in 2016 for the packaged food. And then they started their restaurants in India, and they quickly found that, the Indian restaurants had credible demand, which then translated into them going and opening stores in Dubai. And now the next stop is obviously London. And then, once London's story is successful, they can then look at across the Atlantic into the United States market, which is also quite a credibly large market. But the story is just not about Haldirams. It's also about the other brands. It's also about the likes of Amul, like you mentioned, ITC, the Ashirwad Attas are all over the UK supermarkets, MDH, the spices, which are again available in almost all of the UK supermarkets. So I think what we need to understand from this is the consumer patterns, and Dr. Kohli is here, so he can probably add into the economic aspect of it, which is the way the Indian soft power has increased it has created a sort of a joint demand, an infused demand for complementary products. Just like, for example, how if we were going into an Italian restaurant to eat pasta, we would then automatically, the demand for pasta and olives and olive oil would naturally grow, and that is what we're seeing with the various sort of Indian products, where the British are, they love their curries, they go into the Indian curry houses, and as a consequence, then they want to go home and cook the same, or rather recreate the same sort of magic, and which is what is actually leading to the joint demand of these products. Megha.
Dr. Sharad Kohli, coming to you, this is something, Haldiram opening its eatery, its outlet in London, it's something of a development that, of course, the time of Haldiram has come, but also the fact that there are thousands and millions of Indians that are spread all across the globe. And Indian cuisine is extremely popular all across the world. Talking about the economics of it, while we've seen McDonald's and Pizza Huts and Domino's of the world making a moolah and being universally present, do you think there is now a fair chance that chains like Haldiram could take over the world markets as well?
Good evening, Megha, to you, my fellow panelists and viewers. Well, I think Haldiram, for the information of viewers, already had a presence in the UK. The only difference was this was, I think, somewhere on the west side of London. They had a factory, but this factory was basically catering to packaged foods being supplied across Europe. So that was a sort of a hub which they had, and it's been there for a number of years. This is the first fine dining kind of a restaurant which they have set up, an outlet or a restaurant, whatever Haldiram calls it. So that is the first. Otherwise, Haldiram's presence across the globe, Megha, is already there. And for the information of viewers, I must inform that Temasek and Alpha, they are two investors, international investors, venture funds who've already invested in Haldiram. And the net worth value of Haldiram is about rupees 90,000 crores already. By the way, it's already worth 90,000 crores. I'm counting all the packaged food, the retail food, the restaurants, all included, approximately 90,000 crores. And ever since this valuation came, these funds, they hold about, I would say, 5 to 10% of the total equity in Haldiram. So, Haldiram is no more a domestic brand for a number of years now already. The name may sound, Haldiram started from Chandni Chowk, and Ganga Bishan Agarwal started it from Bikaner long time ago. But Delhi's first outlet was in Chandni Chowk, where Haldiram basically started expanding. Now, I think to answer your question precisely, Megha, now a Pani Puri or a Raj Kachori being served at Haldiram, I would consider Haldiram as a global brand. Well, Aditya would know. You must say Leicester Square is one of my favorite joints for eating every time I travel to London. But and there are a lot of Goras who do like Pani Puri and like in McDonald's, because when you go to McDonald's store in India, any outlet in India, you find that the Indians are crazy for those burgers, especially the children and so on and so forth. I would really count this as an international brand when I'll see more Goras than Indians sitting there. That'll be the day when Raj Kachori and Pani Puri is going through the mouth of more Goras, although it is catching up. But sometimes they find it spicy. They say it's too spicy, and Goras are not very, very fond of very spicy food. But then, yes, so much of Indian diaspora, as Aditya mentioned there, I think that is enough to give business to Haldiram. And I'm sure this is one of the many which is going to come up, Megha, in the years to come. But then packaged food, which Haldiram does, which includes bhujia and namkeens and even sweets and savories, it is already doing packaged food, which was available across London. In fact, if you go to South Hall, I'm sure Aditya visits a typical South Hall store, you'll find in every single store, you will find Haldiram bhujiyas and packaged stuff. I mean, I have bought Haldiram. I'm a vegetarian, so it was a challenge for me to find vegetarian food every time I travel to London. So that was my favorite pick. I would just pick up a packet and take some bhujia or something to as an interim meal till I found a vegetarian place. So Haldiram's presence, Megha, basically internationally is already. If you walk into any large Haldiram store, you will find a big global map, and you would have those dots where Haldiram's products are available. But yes, this is a new beginning. And I think a very good beginning for Indians. And it is coincidentally happening at a time, Megha, when on 15th of July, India-UK free trade agreement has become effective. $140 million worth of goods were shipped on the very day, which is yesterday, ever since this came out. So I'm sure the products being exported from here, they are also going to be cheaper. So, the pani puri rate of £6 something, which you were mentioning, I won't be surprised if it comes down, if those pani puri things. And by the way, Haldiram does a lot of sourcing from its origin. So there is a regular cargo being sent by Haldiram, because not everything may be manufactured there. I don't know if they have set up this facility in West London, but then some of the stuff may be still going from India. So I'm sure you will see the prices coming down as we progress down, because there is a lot of outsourcing being done from India. Megha.
Okay, Dr. Preeti Pant, also on the telecast with me. Dr. Pant, what I was indicating was, global chains like McDonald's and Domino's and Pizza Huts that have just completely inundated the markets all across the globe. There has not been one single Indian chain that has been able to do so thus far. Do you think Haldiram can take the lead and spearhead this complete transformation in the way the world consumes Indian food by way of fast food chains?
So thank you so much, Megha, for inviting me for today's program. So being a food technologist, I must say that you are raising a very important topic today that is related with the food. So as we know that various major global food brands in London are the McD, KFC is there, Burger King is there, Domino's Pizza is there, Pizza Hut is there, Subway is there. So we are entering now there at the restaurant level. Manufacturing was there of the Haldiram, but now the restaurant are there, and the Haldiram is selling now the chole bhature and the pav bhaji and the thalis and all the things which we are getting here in India also. So as all of us are talking about our presence as a restaurant, but my focus, being a food technologist, my focus is on the food safety, because that is very much important. And we know that the main food authority of London is known as the world's strictest and the most strong authority. So like in India we have FSSAI, there is the FSA, the Food Standard Agency. So as if Haldiram is starting its restaurant chain or restaurant there, and in future it will start the various chains also. So we can say that as according to the laws of London, so they are implementing the food safety laws there.
I mean, of course they are. That's exactly why they have been given the license to actually operate. The fact is, of course, they need to maintain the standards, and they have been impeccable in maintaining their standards here in India. I don't see a difference in a Haldiram that I go to in say Delhi, and if it's largely different from a Haldiram in Punjab or Rajasthan or Haryana or many other parts, or in Dubai as well. So on that point, let me get in Rakhi Jain as well. So Rakhi, again, it is also, the UK store, and what we're getting to know, I haven't visited as yet, but as per reports, there is a special curation of the foods that are available at the restaurant, at the eatery, and of course the price points are significantly higher when it comes to having these foods, having these meals at Haldiram. But it is something that people will not mind paying, because I have been to Indian restaurants who serve the dosas and the chola bhaturas and pani puris, not as established chains as a Haldiram, but the prices are competitive, sometimes even more than that. But perhaps because of the fact that Haldiram intends to be a chain, it could still be able to manage its costs, its prices, which could be more competitive as its other smaller counterparts that are operating world over, and in UK and Leicester particularly.
So Megha, thank you for having me on the panel. My take on the pricing is that one has to also see the country that they are serving the food in. We cannot sit in the UK and compare prices with India. I think for UK, Haldiram has cracked a beautiful price point, which makes it very affordable. So if we were to go to a McDonald's, we are looking at an average price for a meal between 8 and 10 pounds between a vegetarian and a non-vegetarian meal, and they are at par with that. So you can go to a Haldiram's, have a meal for that kind of price, because we also have to look at a minimum wage situation here. What is the average income of the person, which we cannot compare to the average income of an Indian? And having said that, the reason why Haldiram will have queues of non Indians outside is because they are now from moving from consuming convenience to consuming curiosity and culture. We are trying to explore a different cultural cuisine here, which is not just homogenized by one single burger or one single meal, but it talks about multiple levels of spices, of regions, and bringing a different kind of a palette for which we are paying the price for. We are not just paying price for a food item. We are paying price for the experience and the fact that we have these spices available to our plate.
Okay, coming back to you, Adit. So, has India's time come, and are our brands now consciously, you know, trying to capture these markets where there is massive potential?
So there is the joint demand effect that I spoke about, where demand for one product automatically leads to the demand of the ancillary product, and that phenomena is something that we will continue to see with various Indian products, various Indian FMCG commodities. With regards to whether a Haldiram can in the future become a McDonald or Burger King or not, we wouldn't know straight away. But it certainly has become, the other food chains which it can be compared to, the other contemporaries of a Oaxaca or one of those UK brand chains. And the story basically started right from Delhi, and the script is in the pudding itself, because it started from a very small setup in India, and from there it grew to pan India base, and now it's slowly sort of asserting itself in the Middle Eastern markets and now into Europe as well. So this phenomena will only start to increase as we see a recurring increase in demand. So
Okay.
Haldiram story is going to be India's story, and this there is a lot of there is a silver lining at the end of the day.
Sharad, coming back to you again, what's stopping Haldiram from becoming a world famous eatery, world famous chain, which has its outlets from Dubai to UK to Canada to Singapore to United States of America? I think Haldiram has all the ingredients. Shall we'll try to come back to you because your frame is freezing. We'll request you to join us back. The same question to my other panelists, Rakhi Jain. Again, you are inundated with funds. We already know 90,000 crore rupee, valuation of the company. Sky is the limit. This is one step forward from Dubai. You're opening up a chain in UK. We see a massive Indian diaspora in all these regions. Forget about UK and Canada and US, but all across the globe. So that this definitely looks like a very successful global venture.
UK is the melting point of, it's a cultural hub. Any brand that is actually successful in the UK eventually finds its way across the world. So, if you will see, there are many brands like in the UK, for example, restaurant chains, including a Hakkasan, including a La Petite Maison. They all started here in the UK and now have found are now global chains, starting with Dubai. There is a chain of restaurant called Yaucha, which started in the UK, and has now found its roots in many parts of the world. So I think for Haldiram to actually have a presence in the UK is announcing its global arrival. It is talking to the world directly, saying that I am here in the most important food location and the food district of the world, where it's a hub for it's a tourist hub from across the world for people to come and try Indian food. And once they sort of can resonate with the food, Haldiram will be ready to take over the world and get their tentacles everywhere. So I
All
guess
right.
every brand has to start somewhere. And
Okay.
I think there would be no other better place to start from London and from the best location, which is Leicester Square, and not starting from a Southall or a Wembley, which is predominantly an Indian diaspora. So Haldiram knew their target market. They knew Indians were not their only target market. Of course, it caters to the Indians, but that real target market is the global stage.
Absolutely, and they have come with a bang in UK, in London, and it's fairly visible with the kind of uh, demand that Haldiram has been getting by way of the appreciation, massive lines. People don't care; they just want to grab food from Haldiram. They don't care about the price points, and I think that's a very good news for the restaurant, for it to further strengthen itself and go deep into the UK markets and the rest of the world as well. I thank all